Let's talk about Edward Snowden. Of course, the little trickle of information continues, and now our politicians want to convince us that he's a dangerous Russian spy. Let's watch the video for more.
So here's what we know, David. We know today no counterintelligence official in the United States does not believe that Mr. Snowden, the NSA contractor, is not under the influence of Russian intelligence services. We believe he is. I certainly believe he is today. So now we all agree that he's under the influence of Russian intelligence services today. You know, for the investigators, they need to figure out, well, when did that influence start? And was he interested in cooperating earlier than the timeline would suggest? I do believe there's more to this story. He is under the influence of Russian intelligence officials today. He's actually supporting, in an odd way, this very activity of brazen brutality and expansionism of Russia. He needs to understand that. And I think Americans need to understand that. We need to put it in proper context.
Yeah, we need to put it in proper context, everyone. He's really, really dangerous, and we need to go after him, bring him back to the United States, charge him with espionage, and then torture him as long as we can, just like we did with Chelsea Manning, I should say. Now, that was Representative Mike Rogers, and I should note before we continue on with this discussion that he didn't cite any evidence whatsoever. Okay, that was 100% pure speculation, and I don't even think that it was an accident. I think that that was purposely done. And I'll explain why, but first I want to get your thoughts, everyone. Jimmy, jump in. What do you think about that segment right there?
I was afraid that Mike Rogers was going to smear Edward Snowden with some kind of bullshit that he just pulled out of his ass. So it's good to see that he didn't, and he just stuck to the facts. I mean, that's remarkable, right? I mean, that is, hey, this guy who revealed that we're all full of shit and lying and breaking the Constitution, turns out he's a Russian spy. We should get rid of that guy and not listen to him anymore. I'm Mike Rogers. He's been doing this, and so, and by the way, his partner in crime, Dianne Feinstein, just last week went crazy because she found out they're spying on her too. So this whole thing that the American spies are somehow the good guys. Oh yeah, they're the good guys. They just seem like the bad guys because they're constantly breaking the Constitution by spying on American citizens.
Yeah, I mean, look, Feinstein was definitely justified in being upset. You have to keep in mind, when it comes to spying, they do it to Americans indiscriminately, but they can't do it to people in power. You don't fuck with the politicians or the corporations, okay? Those are off limits. Jackie, why do you feel that Mike Rogers is saying this without any evidence?
Well, I mean, I think we live in a day and age where, honestly, people, I mean, look, you look at Fox News, you look at even MSNBC, right? You're talking about, let's come up with sort of the most salacious thing we can. Let's get the headline, right? We're all about getting the attention. So I don't think it's right, and I think, you know, we can get into a very long conversation about journalistic integrity, but, you know, that's not fact. It's what you said. Whether it's true or not, I don't know the answer to that, but I can certainly say he gave us no fact. He just had conjecture as a man with a title to say, this is what I think, and it's what I think vehemently. Well, that's not fact, that's not journalism, that's just a proclamation of his about the issue. So yeah, do I think that was a good call? No, I think, you know, the word journalism is getting more and more distilled with every passing day, and it's a lot of talking heads on all sides of every argument.
It's fascinating because there was a day when journalists would hold politicians accountable, but now it has become a platform where people like Mike Rogers can literally go on there and just smear someone with absolutely no evidence. I don't think that that was him just speculating. I don't think that that was an accident. I think that that was 100% intentional. Our elected officials absolutely despise Edward Snowden. Instead of focusing on the information that he leaked that actually violates our rights, we're focusing on character assassination. And what irritates me is these so-called journalists sit there and they allow these politicians to do it. So what is the response to that, Wendy? Like, how do we respond to that bullshit, right? Because you don't come to me and say someone is a fucking spy when there's no evidence supporting that. And I hate that some Americans will buy into that. They'll think that he's actually a dangerous person that we need to prosecute.
Yeah, well, I think the more we focus on Edward Snowden, the man, versus the documents that he revealed, there's less time to actually talk about holding the government accountable and actually focusing on some of the issues that were clearly raised and what we think of what's happening on a day-to-day basis. Journalism and news media have changed dramatically. I mean, we're not in the days anymore where it's like, let's present the facts as they are. It's more sensational. It's more like, let's give everybody an opportunity to speak, when that doesn't necessarily really inform the American public. And so you have a lot of people, a lot of talking heads just spewing information that is obviously incorrect or just emotional by nature without actually giving the American people the ability to see for themselves what the facts are. And the more we focus on his character as a person, as an individual, as a man, the less we're actually going to focus on the violation of the Constitution.
You know, sometimes I get really discouraged because I feel like, you know, with independent media and shows like The Young Turks, you know, we're trying to educate people, and thankfully our audience is extremely intelligent. They want to be educated on the facts. But, you know, Jimmy, do you feel like the information that we're trying to spread actually leads to any type of change or activism? Because Edward Snowden leaked this information last summer, and nothing's been done ever since. I mean, these politicians are continuing to collect information on us. They're proposing some legislation that would ban the NSA from indiscriminately collecting some data. But the reality is nothing has changed, and people are distracted with whatever it is that they're doing in their personal lives.
I think it shows like The Young Turks, people like Glenn Greenwald, I think once they explain to people why this is horrible, because, you know, you don't want to think my government is so corrupt that they would blatantly violate the Constitution. So you put that in your brain, like, that can't be true. So it has to be, they got to be the good guys. They got to be fighting for liberty. That's what we always want to think, right? Because I don't know why, but that's the way we are, right? You always want to think your parents are good. You want to think your country's good. And it's just not the way it is, right? So I think you, Cenk, I think I wasn't sure about it. And then I heard people talk about it, and like Glenn Greenwald, I realized, yes, this is screwed up. And I listened to him make the case. I listened to Cenk make the case. And I was like, oh, yes, that's why this is screwed up. There's a whole thing. And so I think it's really important. And then you, by the way, and you only hear that from people like Glenn or Cenk. You almost never hear it in the mainstream media. It's always this kind of bullshit. Well, they'll bring on the guy from the government to talk about it, but they'll never bring on someone from the other side. They'll never, it's like a FISA court hearing. You never hear from the other side. You never hear from the citizens. So and of course, the guy who's leading that conversation right there, I think, was David Gregory, who works for General Electric, which is a defense contractor. And my question to guys like David Gregory and Brian Williams is, how many checks do you cash from a defense contractor before you stop calling yourself a journalist?
That's true.
Good point.
Many, I would say, because he's cashed a fair amount.
We're also at a point where we discuss more like what people are wearing and the context in which they say things versus what they actually said. The president holds a speech and it's like, was he successful? Did he say the right words versus actually focusing on what he's saying?
It's all about the metrics and the way everything looks. And
gravitas of something.
And you say there used to be a day when the media held politicians' feet to the fire, and that was Tuesday, February 5th, 1972. But ever since then, no more days.
And that's because the emphasis has shifted from educating people to making a profit. It's become entertainment. Let's do whatever it takes to bring up the ratings and make as much money as possible. If you want a current example of that, CNN and their nonstop coverage of the missing Malaysia flight. It was frustrating to see that, hey, you know what, the annexation of Crimea is currently happening. You have politicians that are accusing Edward Snowden of being a Russian spy with absolutely no evidence. No one is holding anyone's feet to the fire. You're seeing it in independent media, and hopefully independent media will continue to take over so this kind of bullshit doesn't continue to make the airwaves. It drives me crazy.
I personally actually think that you would get more ratings. Call me nuts, but I think you would get more ratings if you had debate.
I agree.
I think actually, you know, everyone loves a good fight. So I don't think it's, you know, I think it'd be great if, whether it was Fox, whether it was MSNBC, CNBC, NBC, whatever news source it was, I think it'd be terrific if they did bring on both sides. I think it would actually generate dialogue. You'd get two very opposing sides, but then at least people could make a decision for themselves. And like I said, everyone likes a good dogfight, so why not throw that on TV? It'll be entertainment, but at least it gives you, you know, a chance to learn both sides of a story.